Okay, so I think we're good to start. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pedro Reis. Welcome to another session of Microsoft 365 Live. And thanks to our sponsors for making this session happen. My name is Pedro Reis. I'm Microsoft MVP, Microsoft Certified Trainer. You have my contacts if you're interested to network after this session. What is this session about? It's a bit different session, non-technical. Usually I present more technical sessions. This one is about to tell you a story that I hope that it can inspire some of you, and to tell you a little bit about my 20 years of career and how in the last 6-7 years I changed paths to IT. And the last year I got awarded the prestigious award Microsoft MVP. So first of all, a bit of context. What is the Microsoft MVP Award? And it's an award for it's Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, and it's an award for professionals who are demonstrate technology expertise and who are also passionate about sharing their knowledge with the community and contribute to developing the knowledge on a global level together with the community. The Microsoft MVPs are what is called the bleeding edge, and they have an urge to get their hands on new and exciting technologies, and usually deep knowledge of Microsoft products and services, and bringing together the different platforms, products, and solutions to solve real-world problems. So right now, there are about 3,100 MVPs worldwide on all the categories. And there are 376 data platform MVPs, which is there are specific categories, and the data platform category is a specific one, mostly focused on Power BI, Power Platform, Azure Synapse Analytics, and other similar technologies together working with data. I only first got to know about this award. I didn't know it, and I got to know about it in 2017. And after I got to know it, I challenged myself to develop myself. And after a while, I considered even to apply to this award. And finally, after 3 attempts, I got awarded this in 2022, which really boosted my confidence and my will to continue to learn and continue to share with the community. So this will be a bit about my story. I hope you enjoy it, and at any point, if you have a question, just raise your hand, put it in the chat, and I will get to your question for sure. So I want to share about how it all started and why I come from a non-IT background. In my early career, the first thing was after my when I went to college, I had a doubt about which course to select. Mainly, I was between 2 courses, computer science and a couple engineering courses like management engineering, or even purely management in economics school. I decided to go with management and industrial engineering for different reasons. I strongly consider computer science, but this was my first choice and I went with it. It was a bit dreadful the first years because the first 2-3 years, it's very similar to mechanical engineering. It has a lot of disciplines with technological engineering, materials, thermodynamics, mechanic 1, 2, 3, 4, mathematical analysis 1, 2, 3, 4, algebra, etc., etc. It's very generic. It's not like I couldn't see really the application in a later phase of the career, so it was a bit dreadful for me. Fortunately, later on it started to pick up, and I had a couple of programming classes. I had some management classes, supply chain, operations management, and I really loved those, and I really thrived in those, and it was really good to end in a positive note. I started my career in Bosch as a controller, so working with overall equipment efficiency. So this was a role to really develop the processes and the operations of the company. And then I got first leadership position as operations management in Riverwoods, which was a retail clothing company. And I was the head of the warehouse operations. I had a staff, warehouse supervisor, all the warehouse staff, etc. So I had to manage the operations inside the warehouse. And also I was the owner of the distribution of the inventory through a network of 26 stores nationwide in Portugal. Also, this company was working on the development of a new brand. And later on in the next year, in 2008, a new brand was created, Red Oak, completely new clothing brand made in Portugal. And I had more responsibility in terms of the definition of the supply chain strategy, the purchasing of the entire collection, defining the quantities, defining with the purchasing team the sellers, the distribution, the logistics for bringing the collection by boat, by airplane, by other transportation, storing it in the warehouse, provisioning it to the stores, the pricing strategy, the discount strategy. All this I had a lot of responsibility in this. It was a lot of fun, but there was also a combination of events at the same time around this. Just go one step before. When I started my career, I had a focus like I want to be a director until before I'm 30. That was my goal. And suddenly my boss quit at this company, Red Oak, and I got accumulated responsibilities, and suddenly I was the head of supply chain. So I got the objective when I was 27. It was very early in my career. However, there was a combination of events. The first thing is I had a hobby, and I lived in Portugal next to Porto. I studied at Porto, and I lived in about 20 kilometers in a city, a fisherman city and a beach city, which is called Espinho. And in this city, there was a casino, which was really next to my doorstep, a few blocks away from my house. And I played like some home games in poker. It was like the money maker era where it was the poker boom. People were starting to really get excited about it. It was being broadcasted on the TV. I had like a home game with friends on Fridays, and I was successful at it. And then I started going to the casino to play, for bigger bucks, and started being successful at it. So this was one event. The second event was that as my manager quit, I took over 2 times the responsibility with, let's say, without 2 times the benefits. So I had to do, I was going to the casino like a couple nights a week, like 2 or 3 nights a week. And because this only opened like at 10 p.m. and ended at 3 a.m., I needed to go one day and then the next day rest to be sure that I was fresh for work. However, when I got 2 times the responsibility, suddenly I had to oversee unloading of a shipment who just got from Belgium. I had to coordinate the distribution in the warehouse, coordinate a lot of things. And I didn't have anymore the time even to go at nights because I had to stay in the company long hours until midnight, etc. So suddenly I had the more responsibility, the same benefits, and my other side income was cut because I didn't have the time. So with this combination of events comes the poker years where I really took a decision and I decided to give it a go. Try it while I was young. And so I went semi-pro. I traveled to Las Vegas and I went to different casinos, go to cash games, go to tournaments, etc. I went a couple times, like 4 times to Las Vegas. I played almost in all the casinos. I played in the World Series of Poker multiple times. Went really well in the cash games, did in the money in the tournament sometimes. So it was really fun to do this. I also got a sponsorship to go to tournaments and I went to do a circuit in Europe for sponsorship. And I also started playing a lot of online poker because I couldn't be in Las Vegas all the time. It was expensive to be there. I won a lot, but also I spent a lot being in Las Vegas. It's quite expensive to be there. And so I started playing more online as it was the boom of the online poker. I multitasked, play a lot of tables, etc. So I was getting really good, sponsored, and good at online poker. I also had, as I was good with mathematics, I had also some other hobbies and trying to make some money with other activities, for instance, sports betting and trading. Meaning that I would look at different games, calculate the odds on my end, compare it with the bookies, and then try to beat the house on that. For that, I didn't play just in a single bookie. So I'd have accounts in over 40 bookies, and I'll do the analysis and the bet placement, different strategies. For instance, receive alerts when a bookie had a very good price and another competing bookie had a better price for the other team, to do a safe, what is called sure betting. So I did all these kind of things. I had alerts coming into my phone telling me about good odds that I was following, drops, ups. So I did this strategy also to make money with sports betting. So I had these two income sources, the poker and the sports betting, and I was also developing my analytics at the same time. And I was early what was called like a digital nomad, meaning that suddenly I could just travel around the world, take my computer, a lot like people do nowadays, but this was like in 2010, 2011. And so life happens. I traveled a bit around the world. I had a dream to visit all the wonders of the world, the old world, the new world. I would take my computer, a big laptop with a 17-inch screen, and I would play online poker. And I would travel around, eating local food, going to the wonders, and a lot of things. Multiple years of doing this, traveling, coming to base, playing online poker, etc. I got to know someone who would become my wife, and so I met her in Brazil, and eventually we got married. We got along really well. We got married, and this is one of the events that happened. Also, I launched my own company on a business idea on the food and drinks business, which was called Desfruta. And I launched also this company to try out a third income source. So after my marriage too, one thing that I knew for sure that was coming would be the regulation to online poker and even live poker. So this actually came in 2015. And I was already anticipating it for a while. So this regulation came, and it came with significant taxes over the prices of the tournaments. So let's say that you pay $1,000 for go to the tournament, and all the players, 100 players, put this money up front. Then for each prize that is distributed, the government would take 30% tax. Would make it, in the long term for almost everyone. Unprofitable, except for a very few set of players. Even for those, the margin was not so big, considering also the expenses to travel to tournaments, etc. I had a couple of friends who just moved out to the Czech Republic and continued to play along. And also in the online poker, all the houses were forbidden until they had to apply for a new license to play. The poker sites, also all of them completely banned to operate in Portugal. And so all these things happened at the same time. I anticipated this a bit like 2 years before. And also this wasn't like too stable. I wanted to do this for a couple of years for many reasons, but I wanted to do something different with my life afterwards. So I decided to go back to the industry for something more stable. I had already some savings, etc. So I was comfortable to go to the industry back. And I decided to go back to my industry, supply chain management, to a very reputed company, which was Sonai. I went back to this company. It also allowed me. Other thing was, when you're married and maybe you want to have kids, etc. You cannot have like the poker playing schedules, because mostly you need to work overnight sometimes. You need you never know when the session is going to end if you are playing tournaments. These kind of things after a couple of years takes a toll. And so a normal 9 to 6 job is much standard in terms of the hours if you really want to plan to have a family. Otherwise, it's really hard. And so in this company, I found out about new tools, and I found also about the BI world, because from my 2008, 2009, the BI tools evolved a lot. And even in 2008, 2009, I was already working on innovative projects. For instance, one of the companies I was working in was the first company to implement RFID technology in warehousing at that time. So it was very innovative and other new things. I got to know about the BI world, new tools. I got to know about Tableau, Power BI, etc. during this. And so I decided to go on a bit of a role change. Instead of focusing on supply chain management, to go on a business intelligence analyst, which gave me a bit of a mix of being in the business, in connection with the business, but also some part of the technical side, which was really interesting. Doing integration of multiple systems into a data warehouse, data lake, and working with a data engineering team to do these integrations, talking with a customer, creating reports, models, etc. So a fun time. And when I started back restarted back my career, like in 2015, I activated what is called the learning mode, because when I restarted my career, I picked a couple of books I had in the shelf about supply chain, and then about business intelligence, about marketing, etc. And I was thinking to myself, is there a better way nowadays, after all this evolution, to learn? And I started to look around, and I found a couple of things that I will share in a second. But for instance, I had to use a lot of Excel. And so what I did was I picked, for instance, to be more productive, a list of all the existing shortcuts that Excel had. I picked a spreadsheet, put them there, and every day I would look at like 5 to 10 new shortcuts. I would practice it once, first get aware that they existed, practice it, mark it as practice it, and the next day to review if I even still remember the shortcuts. I continue to do this, more 10 shortcuts, 10 more shortcuts, 10 more shortcuts, until I completely almost worked with Excel with the keyboard and no longer with the mouse. I was like Autobot working with Excel. This is one of the things that I did that got me really productive. And I found out about Power BI, and I also found out about the Guy in a Cube channel, which was really fantastic. And I marked all of the videos that were in Guy in a Cube. I ordered them chronologically, and I said to myself, I'm going to watch each and one of them, and even practice some of the points mentioned. So I started video 1, 2, 3, 4, 100, 200, 300. I watched all of them, the 5-7 minute videos, until I catched up, and I was just starting to view the 1 or 2 videos that came out each week. Other thing that on my learning mode, the books were not so efficient because there was new ways of learning. So what I found out was about the new massive online open courses. This I found out about EDX portal, the Coursera portal, and other ones. And so I really subscribed to free courses. Sometimes I even registered for the certification, because you could consume content provided by top universities like the MIT and other universities that would provide this content at no cost, just to consume the content. And then you could just pay $100, $200 for a certification. I found this really exciting, and I took, like in the first year doing this, about 750, 800 hours of training just on this, plus the YouTube training, plus that. So more than 1,000 hours of training, because I was really interested in consuming this information. And one thing, I had to travel to commute to work about 30 minutes by train, 20 minutes by subway. So I started learning on the train because I could use these platforms on my mobile. So every time that I went into the train, my mobile, my headset, and doing these courses on the train, which was really a great way to do it. Saturday mornings, I would wake up at 6 a.m. and until 1 p.m. I would continuously do the courses, the exams of the courses, etc. I was like a machine, just consuming new information, making sure that I still had time in the weekends, etc., balanced to be with the family. But from 6 a.m. to like 1 p.m. on Saturday morning, it was my time to do this, and plus a couple nights a week to continue to do this, plus the travels on the train. I started really absorbing content, and it was time to do something with it. So, for instance, one of the things I tried out, it was in 2017, there was a contest, Excel contest, to see who was the best Excel user in the country and even worldwide. So I decided to register. I went to the final of this contest at Microsoft Portugal. So it was really great to test my knowledge, and I even found out in the exercise that I could improve myself with Power BI inside Power Query, either in Excel or in Power BI. So it really helped me to evolve. I started also blogging about some of the things that I was trying out at my company, training different analysts, doing different projects, and about the learning paths. So I started blogging about it. And I also noticed there wasn't any user group, any community about Power BI right in the country. So I decided to found a first Power BI user group. I used first the official community PUG, Power BI user groups, and then we decided to move the platform because of some issues with the registration and the number of users in the platform. We decided to join this with a few guys from Microsoft also in Portugal and do a joint venture and move this group to become Power BI Portugal in the Meetup platform. And this group right now has over 3,700 users. It's one of the largest groups of Power BI in the world, the largest communities. Another point, I was challenged, you know, these guys that were with me doing the Power BI Portugal, we were having dinner one time and we had organized like 5-6 sessions. And one of the guys challenged me and said, "Hey, Pedro, when are you going to do a session yourself?" And I dig into this and I decided, okay, maybe I can do it. Not a too difficult session, but getting started with Power BI, initiation to Power BI, something like that, I can do it. I'm comfortable with it. So I decided to do a first local meetup presentation in an environment that was comfortable, that our group was organizing. The session was really good, about 70 people. It went really well. The feedback was very positive, and I decided to go with it and do even more sessions. I did another session at our local user group. I did an international session in Munich at Power Platform World Tour Munich. So doing already some international sessions about things that I was proficient, like the integration of Power BI and Excel. I was very good at the two of them. And so it was a natural topic for me to speak about. Then other events. I also challenged myself to try to present at the SQL Saturday because I was one time at the SQL Saturday and I watched the amazing speakers there, Microsoft MVPs, etc. And I was really, inspiring for me to watch these sessions. And so I challenged myself, maybe one day I can present a session there. And so I got the challenge to do a first SQL Saturday as a speaker. It was about a DAX session in Power BI. And I was a bit scared, of presenting to this audience because you know that in SQL Saturday, it's a technical audience, it's a tough crowd. And so I was expecting tough questions. Maybe I wouldn't be able to answer something, I don't know. So I was a bit afraid of that, but eventually in order to be successful at it, I prepared well, I rehearsed, I prepared maybe some answers to questions, and the session was successful. And so you can see here a picture of all some of the speakers and maybe some of the guys. If you are into Power BI, you might already SQL Server. You might recognize some of the guys like Ivan, like Nico, Denis Torres, Rui Romano, Pedro. So you see guys here that are in Microsoft Cat team. Guys that are in Microsoft, guys that are MVPs. So you see that this was a big challenge, and eventually one day I became an MVP. So you see that starting this challenge was really a big step. So I told a lot about the story so far. I want to share something that can be insightful and help you in this journey. So the first key point that I want to mention is about the principle. You ever heard that to get good at something, you need to put 10,000 hours of effort on it? Maybe it's true. So the 10,000 hours rule, yeah, you still need to put the effort. So first I started doing online training, then on the job applying some of the things that I learned on Excel and Power BI. So I believe maybe after 3-4 years, I actually accumulated these 10,000 hours in the out of hours learning, plus the on-job hours applying directly knowledge. So I think it's really important. However, nowadays, the content is a commodity. It's free and accessible. You can just search on YouTube, you can search on EDX, Udemy, Coursera, all DataCamp. All these platforms have free content that you can just register and do the courses, or pay a small fee and do this. When I was in college, this didn't happen. Content was limited, and nowadays 90% of the content that exists is created in the last 2 years. So this is really mind-blowing. So if you find an article that is 2018, it's already outdated. It's unbelievable the pace that we have, but also it's good because if you are a guy who wants to learn new things, very easily you recover the backlog and you get updated really fast because things are changing at the same time. So another lesson is that when you really put the hours, the effort, the passion, great things happen. So from my previous experience, I got an opportunity as a solution architect at Altran, which became Capgemini. A big step because from senior business analyst and lead business analyst to solution architect is quite technical, more. So this was a big step and I needed to prepare myself for it. The Power BI community, also in Portugal, grew very quickly to 3,700 members, which is really a large community. And it's very uncommon when we do a meetup to have like 100 members. It's very uncommon and it's one of the largest communities in the world in terms of the average number of attendees that go to the meetups. Also, I took an IT and data team leadership role at another company. And so this was also a great challenge to develop communication, develop leadership besides the technical skills, which was really good. Teaching at the university, and I got really people recommending me. They started to get to notice my work, notice that I was good at doing something, and started, Pedro, are you interested in this? I want to recommend you for something about Power BI, something about Excel, etc. So I got multiple recommendations to do instructor and lecturer opportunities. One point that was important for this is the PI principle. Have you heard about it? What is the PI principle? PI principle, PI stands for performance, image, and exposure. This means that as fantastic as your performance it is, it's the core of what you do, of who you are. If it's not there, everything else fails. But it's not enough if you don't project the right professional image of yourself. And plus, if you don't have exposure so that people actually can get to know if you are great at doing something. So the PI principle is actually that in order to progress in your career and to develop yourself, you need 10% performance, 30% image, and 60% exposure. The performance is self-explanatory, so you really need to be good at what you do. The image is the way that others perceive you, the way you dress, the way that others see you, the way you communicate, the way that you act, the way that if you do the long hours, if you push yourself in projects and others see that you do this, it's your professional image. The exposure means when you have opportunities to showcase your talent, to put out blog posts, your portfolio, to be in meetings presenting work that you have developed so that others get to know about the work that you've done. So this is the exposure, and it's really important. When there is then a position, if you have exposure, maybe people will think of you for this position. If you don't have exposure, they will consider the other person who has the right exposure to the right stakeholders. Other important point, sessions, meaning that first, as I explained in the beginning, I did a couple of sessions like the Power BI Portugal 6th meetup, getting started with Power BI, another one on Excel, Power BI, a DAX session, the Power Platform Munich, another session on Porto Data, even another one at Porto Data, and a Power BI Portugal session. So you see, most of these in the beginning were local sessions, other user groups, and plus the SQL Saturday and international sessions, which were the big two. But when COVID came, actually the tool that I use and most of the international speakers use to place their sessions and then to apply to speak at different events is the platform of choice is Sessionize. You create your sessions, and then you can autofill basically your applications to different sessions, and you can find events to which you apply. So this was fantastic for me because suddenly I could go to events which were impossible for me to attend in other countries, etc., and to really go from a national speaker to international speaker through this. So I applied to a lot of events, and as I already started to having a few local ones, it was easy to get invites for different things, different SQL Saturdays, different data Saturdays, global Power Platform, global Azure, more Power Platform, Biz Summit, Microsoft 365, Past Data Community, Power BI Summit, Global Azure, a lot of different things. So all these sessions that I did like in the last, let's say, 2.5 years. So I got really interested in this and to challenge myself to present sessions, because it's a great way when we explain to others to really assimilate the knowledge and to really interiorize it. You will never forget things that you explain to others. So my recommendation, do things, get out there, go to technical events, attend sessions of others. You need the inspiration if you want really to do yourself a session or to do an article about something. You need the right inspiration. You need the knowledge, you need the ideas. You need these three things together, which become creativity. Start a new course. Register on each of these platforms that I mentioned. Find something that is of your interest. You can do it on your mobile phone. You can do it on the train, on the sub, or you can do it at home, as you please. You can host events and speakers. At your company, you can invite an external speaker to come and to share knowledge about something. You can organize today via Teams, via Zoom, something. You can just schedule, organize a session, put it out there in LinkedIn, put it in some type of platform on Meetup, etc. Make it happen, organize, and you will see this also contributing to your image, to your exposure, doing things, networking with different people, different speakers. Share your knowledge. If you have a specific expertise, all these things I mentioned are ways to also share about your knowledge. Display your skills about like a portfolio, like in sessions, internally in your company. Try to find a way that you can showcase your skills. This is really important to do. Or start a gig or a side business to have a side revenue and to keep developing your skills while monetizing an extra source of income. Another principle really important is related to Parkinson's law. Do you know what this law is? Maybe some of you know, maybe some not. This law states that work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. What this means is that when you have a specific task and a deadline, most of the tasks will be delivered at the very end of the available time. Either because you will do something else and you will catch up in the end, or because you do many things and then your effort will not be the same throughout the course of the time available to do the action. If you have ever had a project delivered on the very last day, this is a clear example of Parkinson's law. Maybe if the project had one last day, would it also be delivered? Who knows? So this curve illustrates one possible way of these projects, the way they go. This other image also shows a different approach, which is you go slowly and then you will accelerate in the end when things need to be delivered and done. Knowing about this law, this is something very interesting because I started applying this in a lot of things, which is breaking things in smaller chunks, not only professionally, but in an agile context, but as a personal organization. So I have like a personal Kanban, and I can create different buckets of things. For instance, on the side of the career, on the well-being, on the family, and decide I have these ideas, these are to do, this is in progress, and this is done. This is a way that you can just create cards and then drag and drop them, and I say I will do this, and then it's done, etc. I will mention a tool that is free that you can use and have like 2 boards. There are many tools for this. You have a lot of options. This is my current setup, for instance, which is on my life. I plan different things that I want to do. And I put in the backlog all these ideas that come to my mind, and then I decide really what I'm going to focus on each month. So on April, I want to do this and this. On May, I want to do this and this. On June, I have another thing. So I drag things and plan like in the next months. I try to chunk it in months to say, okay, maybe on a couple nights, on weekends, etc. On my free time, there are a couple things that I want to do. And when it's done, I will just drag it to the done to see that if what I proposed to do on that month was really done or not. This is a very simple board, but I use very actively. You have the tool here, kanbantool.com. It's one of the possibilities. There are many others. Well, life is also very different before and after kids. And I had my first kid in 2018, and everything changed. For instance, those mornings on Saturday to consume content, game over. I cannot do them anymore. Maybe a couple nights I can still do, and when commuting to work, etc., I still take advantage of some of the time. But I needed, and then the second kid came too, so I needed to find some type of organization. So both me and my wife, we needed this, and we activated what is called a family organization. So we started doing what we call shifts, meaning on a specific time, let's say from 8 to 11, who is the primary caretaker of the kids at this time. So on a specific day, it will be my wife. On specific dates, it will be me. This allows, it doesn't mean that we don't help each other. In most of the times we do. It just means that if one of the others, needs to do something special or wants really to complete something on the morning that it's the other, or in the evening, you know that the other will be there to take care of the kids, so that you have this time available to do these things. Also taking care of the chores like the meals and the dishes, the laundry and the cleaning, we organize in this way. And even if the kids wake up at night and you cannot sleep, etc., and then you are exhausted and frustrated against each other, not a problem. We do it at once. If my wife went one night, the next time it will be me. So the next time the kids wake up and spend all night awake, she knows it will be her, and the next time will be me. It will depend on the time. So this really helped us to be organized and still have a few time to learn or to do some things. And on the weekends, for instance, I still have some time that it will be for my wife, some time that will be for me. And we have also time that it's the two of them that will have together doing things with the kids and with the family. So we plan in a way that there is some me time for each of us, but also some time with the family, and it works really well on that. A couple final advice, it is to, well, you can plan, but not too far, because question in IT, if you do interviews, what do you want to do in 5 years? This is nonsense nowadays. It moves too fast for you to plan so far ahead. So you need just to go with the best information that you have, take steps forward, but evaluate at each of the steps. Learn and iterate with new experiences. That's my recommendation. If you are not coming from IT and you want to know how to get the first job, I put here a suggestion of an article that I wrote to a local news site, and I suggest how if it's worth to change career to information technology. It's in Portuguese, but you can use the auto browser translate tool. If you're interested, take a screenshot or see the document after the presentation, and you can find this article and see my recommendation of things to do if you are considering changing careers to IT. Final note, learning is a continuous process, and maybe have you heard about the Dunning-Kruger effect? Maybe yes, maybe not. This means that in the beginning of learning something new, you will quickly think that you are evolving very fast, and suddenly you find out that, oh, after all, maybe I don't know so much about it, and you are still improving your competence, but very slowly, but your confidence is actually decreasing. So you increasing your knowledge and competence, but your confidence is decreasing because you see so much that you don't know. If you ever heard the expression, the more I know, the less I know, it's this Dunning-Kruger principle. And so the value of despair is the critical region where you feel a bit frustrated and maybe, oh, it will not be efficient to continue to invest my time. But if you go all the steps, you will find your way into the way of enlightenment. So don't give up. You will get there. You need to put the hours, but it will come faster than you think. Many times we overestimate what we can do in the short term, and we underestimate what we can do in the medium long term. Try to do it. You will be surprised how much you can achieve. I hope this history inspired you about a little bit about my journey. And after all these years, all these sessions, I finally applied to the MVP award and got awarded, which was just something nice for me, and it felt that like a step forward in my career. So if you have any questions, you have my contacts, my email, and my LinkedIn, my blog. Thanks for being in this session. I hope that you got something out of it and it inspired you to keep learning and never stop learning.